What's up, creeps and ghouls? Welcome to the Let's Talk Horror channel with me, BP. On this video, we're going to review Halloween Ends. It's just come out. I saw it last night. That's why I want to get a video review out the way as quick as possible so I can remember how I feel about it. Remember as well that there is going to be spoilers. Whenever I do these reviews, I want to talk about these films in their entirety so that way I can get across how I genuinely feel about these films. So if you haven't seen Halloween Ends yet, go and watch it, then come back to this review, and then you can tell me how much absolute rubbish I'm talking. But this film takes place about 4 years after the events of Halloween Kills. Laurie is now trying to get over it. She's trying to get through all this fear, all this trauma that she's been through for so long now, and she's trying to get through it. She's now living with her granddaughter after the events of Halloween Kills, where Michael killed her daughter. You've got that sort of legendary arc driving the film, but you've also got now another driving force of the film, which is where we have a character called Corey, who is at the start of the film babysitting a kid who ends up accidentally killing, and then he now becomes the town's psycho. At the point of the film, start of the film, he's not going around killing anyone, but then he becomes best friends with Michael Myers, and they build up a lovely little friendship together. And then he goes around, Corey goes around killing everyone, and then at some point Michael Myers pops up, and then we get the conclusion that we've been waiting for, which is the end where Laurie and Michael Myers have their final fight, and then it finishes. That's pretty much the film, right? Yeah, let's get into it. So, good bits wise, I will always, to clear up first, every time I go into a film, all I want to do is come out of it and go, that was the best film I've ever seen in my life. I always want to, be able to enjoy these films. And then if I do a review, I want it to be a review where I'm going, this is amazing. You need to see this film. You know, horror is a genre that is so difficult and has so much elements to make it that it feels sometimes rubbish to be talking rubbish about them. But then you watch films like Halloween Ends, and you can't really do much for it. There's not really much ways that I feel that I can defend it. If we're looking at bits, the soundtrack is absolutely amazing. Halloween Ends, the score to it is absolutely amazing. John Carpenter done an amazing job as well. Halloween Kills was an amazing soundtrack. I brought that, and I will do the same with Halloween Ends. And it is also very reminiscent of something I will talk about a little bit more later as well, which is sort of, I feel, a big part of David Gordon Green's thinking with this film. But it feels more reminiscent to Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. The score to this feels a bit more reminiscent to that than it does a lot of, apart from the Halloween theme that we all know and love. That's what this sort of film's a bit more reminiscent in regards to music and score. But it's fantastic. Cinematography-wise, you know what you're going to get with David Gordon Green. Not only is it going to look really nice, but also you're going to get really, really vicious kills where you don't really hide away from too much. You see pretty much everything. And the way that it's filmed, once again, is almost very reminiscent to Rob Zombie's take on the violence that happens in the Halloween films. He doesn't really leave much to the imagination. So if you're somebody that loves, the blood and guts and the murder side of it, all these sort of things, then that, this will help you through this film. But other than that, the main thing is remembering what this is. And this is, not only is this David Gordon Green's end to his trilogy that he's created, but also this is the end of that he's saying of the Halloween franchise. Now, whether it continues after this, I don't know. But you can, without giving absolute everything away, this is pretty definitive that we're done. So, was this film the right way to end his trilogy? Was this film the right film to end Halloween? Absolutely, categorically, no. Halloween 3 did it, and then people didn't like it, and then now people love it. I've always loved Halloween 3 because I just love Halloween. It just feels like, the season as well as the films. It just feels like, what they were trying to get at. It's like an anthology sort of film where they thought they could take off from here and do a different type of film, every year. The issue with that is that you've already created one of the most iconic, villains with Michael Myers all time, but you've also created one of the most iconic final girls of all time with Laurie Strode, if not the most iconic. So when we go and see a Halloween film, especially if you are a massive fan of horror and you have followed it your whole life and you are a big fan of Halloween, that's what you want. You want this to be their story. This is Laurie's story, this is Michael's story, and that's what David Gordon Green has set it up to be. So his conclusion to his trilogy and the conclusion to what he's saying Halloween franchise is to base it on somebody else that you don't know. We follow pretty much the whole film, the story of Corey, the town psycho that unfortunately has been pushed beyond repair. But he's been pushed beyond repair because he's now become best mates with Michael Myers, who's now the rat sewer king. And it just gets ridiculous. It's I got about 45 minutes into this film and didn't really know what I was watching. How is this a Halloween movie in regards to what they're trying to do for the franchise? This is the end. This is what I kept thinking to myself. This is the end. You don't do a film like this. This should have been David Gordon Green's first entry to his Halloween, because then people can go, well, I don't want to watch this because it's not Michael Myers properly or Laurie Strode, or he should have just not had him in it and started a whole new thing with it. But he's chosen this film as the last one, and it genuinely makes no logical sense to me. I don't get it. As you can tell, I don't get it. I'm very passionate about these films and what they do. And I just feel that it was a massive disservice to Halloween as a franchise, a disservice to, obviously, Laurie Strode and Jamie Lee Curtis, because she is in it, and that's about it. It's not her being the driving force so much of the story. The driving force of the story is this Corey character. And I think that it's not great for the fans that have waited, not waited, but want to see a conclusion, if there's going to be one, and the showdown between, obviously, Laurie and Michael Myers, and go, right, this is where it's going to end. How is this film going to portray that? And it does it, but only in bits, because we're so focused on something else for nearly 45 minutes that you really just don't really care about. Because, once again, if this wasn't a film that was a Halloween movie, then maybe it would have been better. Maybe they could have put their focus into structuring that film more. But in the meantime, they've still got to try and fit Michael Myers, Laurie Strode, and all that story into something that makes it not relevant. It was a very, very strange watch. People left the cinema. One person walked out and went, "This is shit," like really loud. And it's a real shame. It's a real shame. I genuinely left the cinema gutted, because you feel like this is it, and if they do carry it on, then how? And you just feel cheated, because you didn't get the film that you want. You got the film that David Gordon Green wanted to make, and he made it at the wrong time. He just made a film that was like, we're going to go full season of The Witch of this. We're going to make a film that is so different that it just, like, so much of it doesn't make sense. I mean, Michael Myers, I say, he's like living in a sewer, and then just, and at some points as well, and the Corey character, it doesn't even make sense. So, like, he's getting bullied by these kids that are like half the size of him, and he's there like on the floor crying all the time, and I just don't get it. Like, he could just beat the shit out of them, but he doesn't. So, and he allows that to happen, so once again, that's probably down to the casting, I suppose. And then he becomes this actual psycho, this actual murderer, and this is what we're following. And it's like he's the new Michael Myers. Well, we don't need a new Michael Myers. We're trying to follow this story of Laurie and Michael. That's what you're supposed to be giving us as the conclusion. What you do after this as a Halloween series, that's what it is now. If you're saying this is definitively it, this is it. Simple as that. Now you move on and do what you want. If you're going to do the Halloween series as an anthology like Season of the Witch and so on, then you go and do it. And I hope it's absolutely amazing. I'm here for that. What I'm not here for is for you making a film that's the end of Halloween, of the franchise, of your trilogy, and basing it on someone that's never been in your trilogy or the films before. It would just felt like an absolute kick to the face for a horror fan, for Halloween fans. That's what we wanted to see. You know, you're setting this up to be the finale, the conclusion of, you know, the legendary final girl story, Laurie Strode, between Michael Myers, and that literally only happens at the end of the film. The rest of it, we're following someone we don't even know. So, yeah, as you can tell, I'm pretty angry about it. I've already spoken to a lot of other people who are also very angry about it, and it's a shame because, like I said, I wanted to go into this film and I wanted to get an epic conclusion that I can be happy with as a fan of horror, as a fan of Halloween, because everything is saying that definitively this is it, and where they go from here, I don't know. And this was absolutely not the film to end it on. So yeah, good bits, as I say. Score, absolutely amazing. Cinematography wise, very good, very vicious, very visual. I like the use of him essentially. I mean, I suppose you can say that, you know, the fact that he's bold enough and got the balls enough to essentially at the start of the film say, because of the blue font and everything that he's using, he's basically almost saying, remember Season of the Witch, that went way off. This is what it's going to be like, you know, to have, you know, the boldness to do that. But once again, this is the last one, and you want to show us somebody else's story. No, we don't want to see somebody else's story. We want to see Laurie's story. We want to see Michael's story. We want to see how it all ends. And that's what the film and the whole film should have been about. Simple as that. So once again, these are only my reviews, and they are only my views on the film. If you went in and saw Halloween Ends and absolutely loved it, amazing. I really hope that you do. And I wish I could see past what it was, because it's not what it was, it's what it is, and what it should be is what's important to me as a fan of horror, as a fan of Halloween, the way that they ended it. If you're going to end an iconic franchise, why would you do it like this? Yeah, there's just so much in it that doesn't work. There's so many scenes. As I said, the scenes in the sewer. I mean, there's a bit where Corey's actually fighting Michael Myers and it beats him up, which you get because now Michael Myers is an old man. But then once again, you're not playing off the potential supernatural entity that they sort of play on, and you're just completely throwing out of the window and saying, oh no, he's human, he's just some old bloke who can get beaten up by a kid who steals his mask and goes around killing people. It just, none of it worked, none of it made sense to me. And I remember I just left the cinema last night angry because it's not what I wanted, but also, as I can hear from other people, it's not what they wanted either. We wanted a proper conclusion to a story that we have loved for so long, and this wasn't it. So make sure you go and watch it. Either way, make your own conclusion, make your own feelings known about it, because if you love it, you love it, and if you hate it like me, then you hate it. Simple as that. That's what these films are for. It's what horror is for. It's always divided, among fans. I will love films that people hate, and people will hate films that I love. Does that make sense? I don't know. I've lost it now by this point because, I can feel my anger rising in me again. Once again, it's been a very honest review. I try to be as constructive as I can. I try to be really, really honest, because that's what it is my love for this genre. So if you've enjoyed this review, thank you. You can sound off in the comments, just letting me know what you think about it. If you absolutely loved it, then please just let me know why you loved it. But either way, comments, please subscribe. I'm going to be doing a lot more reviews soon. As well as that, I've got something really big coming to the YouTube channel at some point. Other than that, stay creepy.